Welcome to Me and You and Nancy Drew, the podcast where I, Colleen,
and I, Megan,
explore the Nancy Drew-universe, looking at the food, fashion, history, and inherent queerness of the Nancy Drew books, TV show, games, etc.
This week, we have read the second novel in the original series, The Hidden Staircase by Carolyn Keene.
This is the rewritten in 1959 version. So if you, for some reason, are reading along with your version from the 30s, it's going to be a little bit different. Drew Haiku.
If you didn't listen to last week's episode or you forgot what a haiku is a poem that has 3 lines. The first line has 5 syllables, the second has 7 syllables, and the third line has 5 syllables again. Go ahead, Colleen, with your haiku.
Haunted house, we think. Mr. Drew gets kidnapped and costume party time. I hope you could hear the punctuation that I threw in.
I
There's
love
copious
it.
punctuation. All right.
So much information.
Haiku.
Such a small poem. Okay. Nancy's second case. Find the secret passageway. Shady guy takes dad. I needed to make sure there was that we referenced the kidnapping.
No, for sure. I do have a question.
Yes.
Is the first line of all of these going to be Nancy's first case, Nancy's second case?
Maybe.
Okay, I was just curious.
I can't make any guarantees.
Because for the first one, I was like, yes, absolutely.
Poem writing stresses me out. I'm sorry. It was a given first line, and I was like, okay, now that I have a first line, I can get started.
But there's so much more to cover than Nancy's second case. But also, you did a good job of making it. Last time it was Nancy Drew's first case because of syllables. So good.
Yes,
work.
I adapted.
You did. Adapt, overcome. There's another one. Improvise?
30-second recap.
So do you want to do an actual recap that's not?
We can try.
It will still be constrained. It'll be constrained. You have 30 seconds.
And I have to go first again?
You don't have to. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, but then I'm going to be disappointing.
You're not disappointing. I've already forgotten everything about this book. I read it last night.
I've also forgotten, and I read it this morning.
You read it this morning, and you read it digitally, which apparently doesn't stick as well in your
I don't know.
brain.
Yeah, I think I need a physical. Like, I don't remember all the details.
All the
so
bits
I'll do
and
my
bytes that
best.
Out of your ears.
But yes. So would you?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Ready, set, go.
So Nancy is concerned because some guy comes to her house and says, oh, your dad's in danger because he is doing lawyer stuff. I forget what. And you should follow him. And she's like, oh, my God, that means I can't go on a case with my friend Helen who says there's a haunted house and that her great aunt or some old relative of hers is in trouble and sad and old and there's a ghost. And so her dad says go anyway, and she does, and she solves that mystery, but her dad gets kidnapped anyway. And they were kind of related all along because the same guy, Mr. Goomba or something, Goomba, was involved. The end.
Very good. Very good.
What's his name again?
Gomber.
Gomber.
Is that where we're going to go?
I'm going to go with Goomba.
Goomba.
I think that's right.
Goomber.
All right. Are you ready? Reset. Ready, set, go.
Nancy and Helen decide to go and investigate her great aunt and her great grandma's haunted house. All the while, Mr. Drew is somehow missing with a lawyer thing, and the railroad is involved. And so they go to the house. There's a secret passageway connecting a different house that's exactly the same. And they do some stuff. They dress up in some really pretty gowns. And they find Nancy's dad because it turns out he had been kidnapped by the guy who was trying to buy the house.
Good job. Very nice. Right under the wire.
Okay. I kind of forgot.
What was the lawyer stuff? I've already forgotten.
Okay. So Mr. Drew...
Is a lawyer.
And they're building a railroad. Like
the lawyers aren't. Somebody else is.
Yeah, sorry. No, there are construction people. They just keep saying the railroad is doing this.
Yes.
So they're building, it seems like, some sort of bridge from one area to another. And they've sold all of this land. Mm-hmm. All these different people have sold the land to the railroad. But one lawyer who died the next day didn't do the 100% due process. And so they can't.
Oh, because the land got signed off, but he didn't get a witness or something to see.
Yes, so he didn't get a witness and he didn't get it notarized. And so now the guy who signed it is claiming he didn't sign it at all, and he's asking for more money. And now the other people are like, yeah, wait, we also want more money too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a lot more lawyer stuff in the Nancy Drew books than I remembered.
Yes.
And I knew that her dad was a lawyer. I remembered, her dad's possibly the best lawyer, according to Nancy, who is perhaps biased. But
very biased, I would
argue.
But
I just didn't remember there being notaries. They run and get a notary at one point of like with his notary kit, and I'm like, this is
and like everyone's talking about like whether things are legal or not. I don't know. Maybe because I've watched Veronica Mars so much more recently. I thought that Nancy did a lot more illegal things.
Yeah.
And I'm actually impressed. She's by the book most of the time.
Above the law, this book, or not above the law, but that's the literary word. Below the law. She's below the law. She's following the law. She is by the book. That was a better phrase that you already did. But she wants to go investigate this house, the one that is identical to the first house, to see if there's a passageway between them, because they're trying to figure out how this like ghost figure, who Nancy disbelieves from the start is a ghost, is like
but still refers to this mystery figure as a ghost. She's like, maybe the ghost is there, but she knows it's not a ghost.
It's definitely a man. She knows this. She doesn't even bring up the possibility of it's not a man, but it is a human. It is a man. And she's right. But she does refer to him as a ghost the whole time. But anyway, so she wants to go investigate the house that is connected and is identical, but it has been sold and she's not allowed to. And she thinks for a moment about breaking in, but then she doesn't because it would be illegal. And I'm like, good
But
job.
then the realtor, well, I guess the realtor does have, like, can legally let her into the house because the guy hasn't moved in and it hasn't, like, been finalized.
So
Because he doesn't originally because he's like, oh, I don't want to make Goomba mad. Now I can't remember.
Yeah, he's the guy.
I'm just gonna call him Goomba now.
Yeah.
Mr. Goomba mad. And then he's like, never mind, Nancy. Let's go.
So Goomba comes up and is trying to warn at the beginning and tries to warn them about Carson being in danger, but actually he's the one causing the danger.
And the warning is very much an intimidation.
Oh, hundo P. But Hannah Gruen, the housekeeper / second mom, is like, oh my God, and they don't. It's not a romantic relationship, but Hannah is described as her second mom, which
yes,
and that is how I interpreted it reading it. But I didn't realize it was laid out so explicitly, and I love that. So it's not a romantic thing, but it is like, oh, the co-parent of my child basically is in danger. I care very deeply for him, but not in a like romance way. I just think that's cool because you don't really see that. And yes, she is an employee, but not not emotionally. And they do like Nancy does errands for her kind of thing. So it is kind of like a non-traditional family setup, and I love that. Cliffhanger. In Nancy's and Hardy Boys, they tend to end every chapter with an exclamation point, sometimes a fully italicized sentence, which is arguably not necessary. But I found one right in the middle of the chapter that I needed to tell you about. Oh, it's just page 3. This is Goomba coming in and going, "Your father is in great danger, Miss Drew." And I don't know why he talks like that, but he does. And I think there was one more right in the middle. Oh, no. So that one was actually like, oh, okay, I actually am interested, even though this is just a random guy who came over. But the cliffhanger I love from the actual end of the chapter is at the end of chapter, what is this, Roman numeral? At the end of chapter 12, the last sentence is, "But he had an athletic build and his left ear was definitely crinkly!" Exclamation point. Which is like referring back to a description of this criminal that they have heard earlier.
And they only describe him as like the crinkled ear man.
That's the only descriptor. There's nothing else. Oh, I guess athletic build, but that's like nothing.
No.
That just means he has muscles. This is one of the kidnappers?
Yes.
But he's not the like brains behind the operation. He's the muscle.
Yeah, the brains behind
the ear.
The ear behind the
crinkly ear.
Oh my God.
What does that mean? And then she's like, the first person to describe it is like, had kind of a crinkly ear, if you know what I mean. And Nancy's like, yes, I do.
I don't.
I don't either. Did you have a cliffhanger?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, yes, my favorite cliffhanger was at the end of chapter 5 when they're trying to figure out how the chandelier started swaying, and Nancy goes upstairs to go and try and like stand over the chandelier and see if she stood there, if she could reenact it.
Because they think it's a ghost. It's clearly not a ghost.
Yes, she had barely started the test when from the first floor, Helen Corning gave a piercing scream.
You love a piercing scream.
I love a piercing scream. Built so much dramatic tension.
And it wasn't even about the chandelier. It was like a separate issue.
Well, and that's why I was really confused. Again, I'm often confused.
That's fair.
But I was trying to figure, like, when I originally read it, I'm like, wow, Helen's being so dramatic.
Because Nancy
you already saw the chandelier shake, and Nancy's like, I'm going to go upstairs and try and make the chandelier shake.
Exactly.
And it did, and then she starts screaming. I'm like, oh my gosh, Helen, get it together. So then I read, and I was like, oh, wait, no, there's actually something else going on.
Yeah.
A jump scare happened to Helen downstairs.
I really also
looking at the chandelier.
I thought it was also about the chandelier. Like, I literally told you I was going to do this thing. You know it's not a ghost this time. It was arguably never a ghost.
And so I feel like there weren't as many memorable cliffhangers.
Those are the only two I flagged.
In this one.
Cooking Corner.
In this segment, we look at the wonderful food that Nancy gets to experience in this novel. Colleen, would you like to go first and describe one of your selections?
Yes. So chapter 3, we get out like a full, like several course meal as so Nancy and her dad have been trying to track something down, and they end up taking an unexpected swim. More on this later during the fashion watch, actually. Okay. And so they change into dry clothes and bathe all the mud off, probably the other way around, actually. And and so they come back, and Hannah had placed sherbet.
Yes,
My
I
dad
looked up the
gets
difference.
very mad at this.
I had never heard of a sherbet glass, but I searched a sherbet glass, and it was like, do you mean sherbet? And I was like, I guess I do.
What about you? What meal did you flag?
So I have a few other things flagged that I do want to come back to.
Yes.
But I think the number one food item that really spoke to me and again inspired me to go search up what this was and look up a recipe for it and then highly consider going into my kitchen and starting to make this. And then I didn't do it. But I still kind of want to, is it was described as a yummy floating island for dessert. Yes. And I was like, okay, what's a floating island? Basically a custard. And then over top of that is a meringue that has been poached instead of baked. And you place it on top, then you drizzle it with either chocolate or caramel. And you can place little, fruits like strawberries and blueberries. It looks so good.
That sounds so good.
It's so many steps because you have to temper all sorts of different things.
Right.
And, there's a lot of different steps.
That's so stressful.
That's also why I decided not to make it because I was like, whew. I feel like I'm just going to cry because I'm going to get really upset when this does not work.
I will happily watch somebody else make it, but I think that would not
I would also very happily eat it.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is made while they are in the haunted house, and great-grandma Miss Flora is like on the verge of heart attacks.
Yes.
And everyone is very stressed out. I'm like, who is making this floating island dessert? Maybe, for someone, I know a lot of people that baking is a very relaxing endeavor and they do it as a stress release. That would not be that way for me.
But they also know that someone is listening somehow to everything they're saying and doing. So I would want to do things quickly, make a quick dinner, something that doesn't take a lot of time so I can get out of the house.
And they do later. Later on, they've got these quick meals. And I guess this is earlier in this mystery solving.
True.
Because as it continues and as Miss Flora gets more and more stressed and the doctor has to visit more and more frequently, their foods become like soup. Do you have any other cooking things?
I have a couple, actually. I really enjoyed Nancy going to the drugstore. She's just killing time so she can talk to somebody who's on a lunch break. And so she's like, okay, I've got an hour to kill. Go to the drugstore, get a little snack, read a detective story in a magazine, which I love that she's just reading this in her car. And it's so intriguing that the time passes quickly. But she goes in and she's like, I just need a little snack. And you know what I do when I want a little snack? I eat split pea soup. Just as a little casual, just a little on the go split pea soup. I'm like, okay. It's delicious, I'm sure, but I go to a bag of chips or a handheld sandwich or something.
And funny that you mention peas.
Oh, no.
Because they are involved in almost every single meal featured in this story.
Was this sponsored by Big P?
Fresh peas with Hannah and Carson. Fresh peas with Helen and her great aunt and her great grandma. The split pea soup. And then later, one of the foods they realize is missing is canned peas.
Canned peas, and that's the ghost who's been eating their food.
I don't think I can't remember the last time I ate peas.
I like them, but
I do too.
But I don't go out of my way to have them
I don't think
for
I've ever,
every meal. I do have one more meal, but do you have any others?
It's just this entire
conspiracy.
It's the.
I'm so sorry.
Please
I'm so sorry.
It's just all peas. It's all peas and soup. This the second half of the book.
Both.
Yes. Sometimes split pea soup.
So Miss Flora has had maybe a heart attack, not really, but she's had quite the fright by this ghost. The last meal that I flagged was they get some chicken soup and some toast for her, and then they just get her a saucer of plain gelatin. Delicious. So good.
At that point, you're just eating texture.
You are just eating texture.
Are there even calories?
There have to. Does it have sugar in it?
I don't know.
I've never thought about plain gelatin at all. I've seen it as an ingredient in a gummy bear or whatever, or I don't know, a marshmallow. I don't know. I don't even know what gelatin is in. But like, who's sitting down to have a nice, flavorless Jell-O?
Ship of the week.
In this segment, we look at the relationships from this novel, and we decide which one we support. Which pairing do we hope lives happily ever after?
Which ship do we want to sail?
Yes.
So my ship this week is, of course, Master and Mistress Colonial America. So Nancy and Helen are hanging out in this colonial house, and it's great because the older relatives keep talking about the olden days, meaning, of course, colonial times. But, of course, these books were written in the 30s, which is almost a full 100 years ago for us reading them. So, like, yes, the olden times, very old, different from where you are, for sure. So at some point, even though they're being haunted and there's a gorilla face man outside and all this different stuff, it's a whole thing. They're taking a night to enjoy themselves, and they're dressing up in these colonial, they call them costumes, but it is just clothes from the colonial era. And since they're a private collection, they belong in this house, you get to try them on, which you would, like, I feel like never get to do nowadays, because it would be in a museum, right?
Yes.
Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum. Whether it does or does not is, up for debate. But
And we can talk more about the details of the clothing when we get to the fashion.
Yes. But this is all to say they spend a night dressing up. It's very great. And after they dress up, so Nancy is Mistress Colonial America, and Helen is dressed in men's clothes, and she is Master Colonial America. And they are going to this imaginary dance together, just in like the house, and they're clasping their hands and they're strutting, and they're it says even put in a few steps with which no dancers in colonial times would have been familiar, which feels oh my. And it's very lovely, and they bow, and it's just very cute. They're having a nice little almost date night with Master and Mrs. Colonial America, and then they do have to go run out and talk to an official police chief in their costumes, and he doesn't really comment on the fact that they're dressed up.
Yeah,
there's
he's
no
just like,
yeah.
He's like, oh,
There's
okay.
a picture of this normal policeman and a guy he's caught, and then these two that are totally in like breeches, and there's like, yeah, anyway, here's a crime that happened, and they're like, oh, okay. So that's my ship. I love Master and Mistress Colonial America.
So for me, for my ship this week, I want to break the mold, kind of like you did last week.
Yes.
And I chose an anti-ship, who I definitely do not want to end up together. Nancy, near the beginning of the book, goes on a date with Dirk, a former high school tennis champion. And my issue, and I just hope I never hear about Dirk again, he just seems really boring. And their date is a double date to amateur theater. Not that I have anything against amateur theater
for sure
at all, but it ends up being just two paragraphs dedicated to this date. And then he's never mentioned for the rest of the novel.
He's not even mentioned in the recap of the date. She's like, I had a great time at the amateur play, and then seeing the dancers, and then we, I don't know, got dinner or something. But she doesn't say, and it was great to talk to Dirk.
Yeah, no, he's not involved. She just had a fun time.
And there was also a man.
Yeah, and Dirk was there for some reason. I don't know why.
Dirk Jackson.
A
very American name.
I hope that Nancy never goes on another date with him
and
again.
Just the fact that he's described as a former high school tennis champion.
He's already peaked.
He's peaked. He's done.
Yeah. Fashion police. In this segment, we look at the fashion from this book. Colleen, what fashion did you want to start with?
I wanted to talk about the olden time ladies' gloves. In olden days, Aunt Rosemary said, no ladies' gloves were the pull-on type. They all had buttons.
Oh.
And so they actually ended up using the button hook to yank something that is hidden in the ceiling. So this is just like a throwaway fact of like, by the way, I have this button hook.
By the way, you need this button hook. Also, it might be a special tool you need later.
Tool for your inventory, and then she immediately takes it out of her inventory and puts it in the ceiling crap and yanks something down that is hidden there. But I really enjoy it, just because I mean, I loved the Nancy Drew games. And so you find something that's meant for one thing and then use it for something else. So, like, you get a magic wand and then you stick some gum to it and then you can get the key out of the crack.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. And I just, like, love just the fashion, like, thinking about, like, we don't use button hooks anymore.
Why would we?
Because I want to talk about the colonial stuff, but I also do want to talk about the very beginning of the novel.
Oh, yes.
Where Nancy and her dad are at the railroad construction site, and she's wearing these pumps. Sensible pumps. And her father is like, are you sure you want to walk through the construction site with me? You could stay in the car. She's like, no.
They're coming from church.
Yes.
Like, so she's all dressed up. And I do appreciate her dad because he's not like, oh, why'd you wear these pumps? It's like, oh, by the way, there's like a lot of mud. We're right by the river.
In case you want to sit this one out, Nancy, I understand. And she's like, no.
And then she immediately does lose them in the water.
Yes.
And they weren't trying to go in the water. They were going to go look at things. And then like a truck comes at them.
The truck rolls down the hill with no one driving it straight at them.
We think was done by Mr. Goomba.
Yes.
It's
implied.
Not really confirmed, but
Yeah.
it was like an intimidation tactic. They're about to get run over, and there's like they can't get to the sides. They can't jump out of the way because there's these giant concrete pillars. So it's like you're gonna get hit by the truck unless
You go swimming.
you go swimming and then go to the side of the river. And so she does lose her pumps in the water. But her dad helps fish them out, which is very nice.
Yes. Good dad moment. Good parenting.
Love to see it. I also noticed a sports dress. Thoughts?
So I did do a little bit of research. It was actually really difficult to find information about this.
Because I think of like Venus or Serena Williams wearing like a tennis skirt, and that's all I got.
That's exactly what I imagined. And I was like, that can't be right.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was able to find were vintage sewing patterns for 1930s sports dresses and 1950s sports dresses. No 1940s. No, I don't know.
Because the 30s is where it was initially published, and then the 50s.
And so I'm constantly asking myself while I'm reading these, is this a 1930s reference or is this a 1950s reference?
Yes.
And I mean, the sports dresses are mentioned, I mean, like within like the same chapter, like 2 or 3 different times, because then I think that's when Helen gets...
She gets a bunch of dust on her because they're like opening up the chimney.
Yeah, and doesn't she like fall through...
I think, yeah.
Fall through one of the old buildings, and she's fine.
Helen's constantly like, just getting dirty.
Yeah, and so Nancy is like helped her clean up.
Oh, yeah. More on that later. She's winking. It's an audio medium. She's winking aggressively at me.
Helps Helen get changed into another sports dress.
Thank God.
And so I was like, okay, so clearly we're supposed to know what this sports dress looks like.
And they're not playing sports. I need to stress that they're just hanging out with Helen's aunt.
So this would require, I think, a lot more research. But the ones that I'm seeing kind of have like that A-line silhouette where they're more fitted at the top and like loose at the bottom. And
so, like, would they if you spun, would they flare out?
I mean, this one for the 50s does look like it probably would. It's very pleated, but I don't think it would be like a full circle skirt. And the ones from the 30s have like capes.
They do.
Like these
like a little shoulder cape.
Yeah, little shoulder capes in 2 of those.
Maybe to protect you from the sun?
I'm not sure. What both decades have in common is they're buttoned.
Yes.
All the way, it looks like up and down. The ones from the 50s have the collars. This was my first favorite type of vintage dress, was kind of this kind of outline. So I'm like, I don't know if that counts
and they only
as a sports
button
dress.
Down to the waist.
Yeah, this one buttons down to the waist. So does that one.
They look like they have like a little belt. Actually, all of them have like little belts.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about with the cinched waist? I do not know a lot about fashion.
The thing is like, I don't really either.
You're more than me.
But so that's what I could find about sports dresses.
Okay. Well, talk to me about this colonial fashion, though.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean...
And you do have more expertise in these because you did live in a colonial reenact.
I did live near like a colonial historical reenactment town for college. So, you know, they don't go through the full layering that you need for the colonial garb.
In this book, they don't?
No, they don't. But there was one thing, and again, I don't really recognize, like, you know, I've never gotten to wear a colonial garb, and I was very into Felicity.
Oh,
so, you know,
American
girl Felicity. But one of the things it mentioned, I think that it's pronounced panniers. Looks almost French. So Panniers.
Okay.
And so when I looked that up, that is when they're fitted at the top, almost like with a corset, and then at the hips, it goes out drastically.
Voluminously.
Voluminous. It does not match an actual human being's hips. And so the word panniers means baskets, and it's for like beasts of burden, the like kind of matching double baskets on either side of them. So I'm assuming that's where it came from fashion, being like, oh, it's like how the donkey has two baskets on either side. You have these two structured hip expanders on your dress.
That's no donkey. That's my wife. I'm so sorry.
But I was looking like modern day, because when I searched the word panniers by itself, it came up with baskets for bikes, not like one that you put on the front, but
like the two on each side.
Yeah, two on each side, like if you're like long distance bike riding. So it's still a word apparently that we use today.
I really love that. So that is what Nancy's wearing, or I forget.
Yes, Nancy is wearing
when
the
she's
panniers.
Miss Colonial America. Oh,
Yes.
and then she's talking, laughingly, she added, but I'll probably have to hold my breath to close it in the middle. But the women in olden times certainly had slim waistlines.
Except it fits her perfectly.
It does. Yes.
And then just one little bonus fact, because I'm a huge fan of these in modern day women's fashion.
Oh, yeah?
Later in the novel, right kind of near the end when they're exploring, Nancy and Helen put their flashlights in their skirt pockets.
Yes.
And I feel like skirt pockets are finally back, but I get the impression that in the 50s, women had pockets in their dresses and their skirts for practicality, I hope.
I hope so too. Well, and it doesn't say like, and their pockets, which had, and their skirts, which had pockets. Like, it's just like, yeah, in the skirt pocket.
You know, that's
the skirt
where
pockets we all have.
We all
know
them.
about this.
Yeah. So I'm glad, because when I make my own skirts, I definitely put very deep pockets.
Which I appreciate.
Yes. And I get really upset when I buy dresses and skirts now that don't have
any pockets, or and they're big enough for a flashlight. Like, flashlights aren't small, especially not in the 50s.
Yeah, so they definitely have some really good skirt pockets, and I approve.
I approve as well. Excellent. Picture perfect.
One of the things the original Nancy Drew books were well known for was their intermittent illustration, the pen and ink illustrations throughout the book. And so in this segment, we discuss the best, the worst, the noteworthy, the confusing illustrations in the novel. Colleen, which one would you like to start with?
Let's do the 2-page spread, because I always think that's interesting. And I noticed one in the first book, but it didn't seem necessarily worth talking about until this one, because you were reading a digital book, or you were reading it on your phone.
Yes, so I was reading it digitally on the Kindle app on my phone.
And so for mine, this is Helen and Nancy specifically Nancy on the roof, and Helen's kind of like supervising. There's like a tower on the top of the house, and they don't know how to get into it, but they think the thief has been hiding there, and then they find like a hole in the attic ceiling. So Nancy goes up on the roof, and she's being very careful, and Helen is also looking at the roof. And
from the trap door.
From the trap door. She is not on the roof. She's like, oh, this looks scary. You go ahead. And so, like, you see on the one page for me, Helen's looking at her and being very worried, and Nancy's crawling determinedly toward the tower. And it, like, is the bottom half of 2 of the pages. But there are still, like, paragraphs at the top of the pages. I feel like I don't see that kind of at all. Like, we work in elementary schools. Like, we see a lot of, like, chapter books, right? And I feel that you will either see pictures that take up the whole page or no pictures. Or or maybe a tiny picture above the beginning of the chapter. But you don't see like, oh, here's the middle of the chapter. Here's several paragraphs, half the picture. Several paragraphs, half the picture. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely interesting. And it looks so much better in your book, which I feel like these were meant to be read as books and not on a digital Kindle.
I'm sure had never thought of the possibility of a digital Kindle.
Yes. So it's not as...
You can't tell it's a 2-page spread.
I could tell because in that it was on 2 different Kindle pages. It has a lot less text than yours does, but they don't seem to really be one single painting as they are on yours. So I was kind of confused why they did 2 pictures at 2 slightly different angles.
Yeah.
Of like, is this 2 different moments? Not realizing until I saw yours that this is one page, like a spread.
That had been split on yours.
So it looks very nice. Bringing up how different the illustrations can appear on the digital. The very first, catch your attention. You open the book. It's trying to it'll usually have like one exciting line from that part in the book to like
this is before the title page. There's one picture and one sentence of like, are you excited yet? Even if it starts kind of slow, it's going to get cool.
Yeah, don't you worry. And so the phrase we have is both girls froze in their tracks.
There was no period.
Nope.
Which is
It's just, yep.
I would describe this as an MC Escher staircase. It's not quite. It's not like it's never ending. You don't know. But I genuinely am not sure whether the girls are coming up or going down the stairs.
Yeah. Are they going down the stairs and they turn to look behind them? Are they coming up? It is.
Where are we in this picture as we're looking? Are we at the bottom? Are we at the top? I will post a picture on the Patreon, and you do not have to be like a paying patron to view this, but I need you to see how weird this picture is and how I can't tell what's going on. So on your phone, how does this look?
On my phone, this image is kind of terrifying. In yours, you can see the detail of the cobwebs. Mine looks like it has been overexposed multiple times. Helen has no eyes. She is a blank face. Like literally,
like
yes, it's terrifying. And this is, I said it. I feel like it's supposed to like get you excited to read the book, and I'm like, oh my God,
I don't want to read
what
this book.
Is
Helen
this?
She gets blinded or never
And
had
you
eyes. Is she okay?
You can barely tell that they're on stairs. I can see brickwork, but they also might be floating through outer space.
Yes.
Like it is confusing and scary, and I don't like it.
Because I have seen pictures that have been overexposed, and it's just like a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox, and it's just distressing. I don't like yours either.
Yeah. 0 out of 10 on this
recommend?
picture for me.
Excellent. Yeah,
I think if I had the book, honestly, it's got this pen and, paper, like you can see each stroke of the pen.
And the cobwebs are even in white, like they were colored around
yes.
and left blank. And that's a really cool detail. And there's a lot of cross hatching, a lot of like shading and texture.
And that does not translate well to digital.
Not good.
Not to digital.
Poor Helen.
Blast from the past.
In this segment, we look at just how things have changed from the 1930s/50s to our modern times. So things that stuck out to us, things that inspired research, things that aren't maybe okay anymore, that haven't aged well.
Maybe they weren't okay to begin with, but nobody really knew or just assumed it was fine. So let's start right on page 4. This Goomba guy comes over and is like threatening her father because he is doing some lawyer work for these railroad people, and they think the people who sold the property were like shafted out of some of their money. But that is not the word they use. They use the word that is spelled Gypped, which is based on a slur for the Roma people. Gypsy. Spelling out loud is hard for me, but I think I did it. And it's basically based on the incorrect stereotype that all of the Roma people would steal money from people and take more than they needed to and all this different stuff. And so it's not great, but I feel that I didn't learn this until a couple years ago. And so I was still using this word because I just heard it, and that's how you pick up words, right?
I mean, it's even in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's not.
Oh, or are you talking about the stereo?
Oh, I'm talking about like using it to be like, I have been shafted out of something.
Got it.
I had not connected that to.
And actually, that's what
right?
what I wanted to say is when I was reading it, I had always heard the word and thought it was Jipped.
Right. And so in which case it doesn't feel connected to anything.
And so while I was reading it, I was like, I see this spelling. Hold on.
Yeah.
My brain automatically made the connection. And I was like, this is not okay.
Yeah. So I do feel that I learned maybe later than I should have in life that this is where that came from. But I know now, so we can do better.
I feel like there are a lot of people who still don't know. Like
right?
I hear people using the slur for the Roma people
as almost like an aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
You have cottagecore, and then if you were a wanderer or a traveler, people use this word, and that's not great. It's not ideal.
I think that there's maybe not as big of a focus on it, but if the Roma people themselves are saying this is not an okay word for us to be using, then we shouldn't be using it.
Exactly. So I just wanted to address that because I was like, okay, page 1, page 2, page 3, doing great. Oh, great. Awesome. Loving page 4. This is not ideal.
That's, I think, the only one that stuck out that maybe felt outdated and kind of negative,
Yes.
one that has not aged well.
Yeah. And I'll take that, this could have been worse. But
looking at the past from a different angle, the railroad is a huge focus in this book. It's very integral to the plot of what's going on with the railroad. And what's interesting to me is that in modern day America, the railroad, while extremely important and still stretches across the country, is not really a part of most Americans' day-to-day lives, unless I think you live in a major city.
Or unless something gets disrupted, like with a strike or potential strike, for example. I feel like, and then there's a difference because I had always thought of railroad as all trains, but I feel like this was specifically, was this about passenger trains or freight trains? Because I think that those are even different, right?
I don't know if it specifies.
I don't know either. It was a railroad for sure. They did say railroad probably 100 times in this book.
And I spent a lot of time in Europe because of my family's connections to the military. And railroads are a big deal in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And a very easy way to travel all over the place. And people
accessible. And you don't need a car as much as you do in America, right? This is
and so
very
people
car-based
take
country.
the trains so often, and it was very, very convenient and affordable.
Good.
And so, I don't know, I wish that we had better public transportation in this country.
I wish that the railroad was as big a deal to our life as it is to Nancy's life in this book particularly.
Yes, like, I mean, even if we're not looking at the railroad from, the freight aspect, or the fact that they're building this, Nancy is also waiting for her dad to come back from Chicago.
Yes.
I think it was Chicago, on a train. And so just showing that it's very important for traveling across the country. And
another part of Blast from the Past, waiting for Mr. Drew to get off the train in Chicago. Nancy's waiting to hear from her dad.
Because he calls her and is like, I am planning on
being back on this date. Will you meet me at the train station or whatever?
Yeah. And so she goes there and waits and waits and waits. And
no, she does not. Yes? No.
Oh, gosh.
No, he calls her on one day and says, I'm planning this.
Yes.
Then she gets a telegram.
That's right.
She gets a telegram. And fun thing about telegrams, rather than a person's voice, you can fake a telegram so easily. It's not from Mr. Drew. We don't find this out until she goes and waits and waits and waits, and her dad's not there. And it's because the telegram that says, like, oh, yeah, actually, I'll be here earlier or later or whatever.
Later, I think.
Yeah.
Because then someone comes and gets him in a taxi from
They force him into a taxi, and then they chloroform him. They chloroform Mr. Drew. And I know this isn't Woundwatch because Woundwatch is most about Nancy, but he got our first chloroform count. Oh, you hate to see it. And so they're like, oh, my God. So Mr. Drew goes off the train. These two guys that work for Goomba, and then the two guys are like, I've decided we're gonna, like, Uber share.
Yes, that's exactly
we're going
what it
right
was.
past where he is. Don't even worry. If he says no, don't worry. We got this. We're gonna pay you, and we'll go right past where he is. And then they chloroform him. And then they're like, oh, my God, our friend is so sick. We're gonna take him. Don't worry, we got this. And if you tell anybody that you saw us, your kids are gonna get hurt. Anyway, have a great day. So that is what happens. But Nancy doesn't see any of this because she got the telegram from her father that he's going to be late, so she goes later.
Yes.
She sees none of this. So telegram, very easily fakeable. We were talking about telegram versus telegraph.
Yes, telegraph, because I feel like I used them interchangeably in the past until I was like, wait, before I
go on a podcast, for example.
Go on a podcast and mess this up. Which one's which? So telegraph is the machine and the technology to send a telegram, is the individual message.
And what else did you notice? Because this had a lot of interesting.
It did. And I think that I have a few other ones. So interestingly, in this novel, you've got the blast from the past of when we're looking at when these books were written.
Right.
And the technology there. But this book takes place in a colonial era property. And so there's also these blasts from even further into the past.
And they always say in the olden times.
In the olden times.
Cute. I love it.
But one of the cool things that I just really liked was one of the houses on the property, or buildings on the property, is an ice house.
Yes.
And this is where they would store huge blocks of ice during the year so that they could keep things cold. They've also got a smokehouse where you would smoke your meats. And I just think it's really cool.
Well,
I love the way technology has progressed.
Yeah, I liked it because, well, with the games, you always learn something about either a part of the world that you might not know about, or like there was one that was about like Mayan culture, like ancient Mayans and whatever. And so you're working in this museum that focuses on that. And while you're solving mystery, you have to put the exhibits back together that got broken, learn about Mayan numerals. So this is like learn about ice houses, learn about smoke houses. That was very cool. I just had a very silly one, which was when we were talking about the floating island.
Yes.
Helen is so excited about this. And instead of going, they spell it U-M in italics. So it does look like she's like, steak in a floating island? Like, oh my God. I was like, I must have read that wrong. Yeah, I think that's what it has to be. But I've never seen her written like that, and it just cracked me up. Are you sure you went floating island? Like, okay. Wound watch.
In this segment, we tally up all the injuries that Nancy sustained during the book and possibly mention some other injuries from some of our other characters. So I'll start. This is not necessarily, I guess, an injury sustained, but something that I feel like Nancy maybe needs to go get
It's a
checked.
chronic situation.
Yes. So on page 1, her eyes are described as dancing eyes. I think she might need to go see an optometrist.
Maybe some kind of like get an eye patched until she can get that figured out. I just feel like the eye should kind of stay in the socket.
Yes.
Not be dancing all around. It does feel concerning. And the sparkling eyes I will allow. It does feel like maybe some glitter got in there. That might be an issue. But every other chapter, she has either sparkling eyes or dancing eyes, and I am pretty concerned about it.
Yes.
Yeah. She did also fall down the stairs, but she's fine.
Yeah, she fell down some stairs.
It truly do be like that sometimes. What else?
She gets attacked by an owl.
Oh, yeah, she totally does.
Do they put the owl in there, or is there just accidentally an owl?
No, they're trying to so Goomba or somebody on the ghost on the property, who is not a ghost, he is a man. They do only call him the ghost, as previously discussed. But so the ghost sneaks an owl in, and the older relatives, there's like the great aunt and then Miss Flora, who's like the great grandmother, and they're both old and maybe frail, and they've already been startled enough by this ghost. So Helen knows darn well that this owl has to have been put in there by a person, and Nancy says, "Oh, it must have come down the chimney flue. We must have left it open earlier. Remember when you got covered in dust and there was a whole sports dress shower situation? Yeah, we totally left it open then, and that's how the owl got in. Do not worry about it, and we'll take care of it."
Wink, wink,
wink, wink, wink. I think she actually physically like does wink of like, and Helen's like, yes, and
that's right.
Yeah. So Nancy just like was like, oh yeah, let me get on my gloves and just put this owl outside.
Yeah,
as you do.
But she does sustain owl pecks up and down her arms.
Where the gloves are not.
Yes.
Which makes sense because it's a wild animal.
Yes. So we've got some arm injuries. And the last one I have is the entire ceiling falls on top of Nancy Drew.
So our knockout count is at 1 so far. We're at 1 for 2.
Yes.
And this one, actually, they thought the ghost had done something to the ceiling. No, it's just an old house.
Yep. This was a little bit of like a little red herring where you're like, oh my gosh, the structural integrity of the house is compromised.
By this man so that he can buy it easier. No, the house is just old. So it falls on Nancy and Helen, and Helen's like coughing, but she's fine. Nancy's completely out, does not respond, anything. Helen's too dazed to move, so the older ladies get her out of there, and Nancy's just like not awake.
Yes. So our first knockout. Wow.
So sad. So sad.
Drew's Clues.
In this segment, we take a look at what makes Nancy tick.
Yeah.
You know, what clues did we get to kind of build the entire personality and thoughts of Nancy?
Yeah.
So what did you find, Colleen?
Okay, so I think we talked about this a little in the first episode. When I think of Nancy, the supporting characters I think of are, of course, Carson and Hannah, which we have met. And then I think of her best friends, Bess and George, and her usual, like her steady, Ned. And we haven't seen any of those three yet. We've seen Helen, who I vaguely now remember. And we've seen Chief McGinnis, who's like the police chief she works with sometimes. But she does go on a date with Dirk Jackson.
Don't like that guy.
I don't like that guy. But like, I don't think he ever comes up again because I've never heard of him. Or I don't remember hearing of him. I assume I read this when I was reading the whole series. But her dad is just, he's supportive of her. And he's like, I don't know. I found it interesting because right before she goes on her date with Dirk Jackson, she's worried because her dad's been threatened. So he comes home and he's safe for this is like the very beginning. And she's like, oh, Dad, I'm so glad to see you. Gives him a big hug. He goes, oh, what have I done to rate this a bit of attention? Oh, you don't have anybody to go to the play with. You need a substitute because your date canceled. She's like, no, the date's still on. But I am going to cancel it. And he goes, why? Isn't Dirk going to stay on your list? So like her dad's totally fine with her dating around, which I would not have assumed was like what was happening in the time period. I guess I don't know a lot about it, but I feel like you had a steady or you didn't.
I don't know. I will say, like, some of the conversations with my grandma.
Yeah,
she's like, she was going on so many dates. But
I just like her dad's support, and he like goes down in the river and gets her pumps out of the. He's like, oh, your pumps. I don't know. Are you gonna be okay in the mud? And then they have to go in the river. And he's like, all right, I got you. So I just like seeing the father-daughter relationship build even more.
Yes, I love that.
What about you?
I think that we really see another example of Nancy having a really good read on people.
Yeah.
So like we saw this in the first novel where she just met people and she's like, I love you. You're the best person I've ever met.
Or she had her enemies from her high school, right? Those two girls, and then they kept just being snotty.
But when she meets Gomber, Goomba, whatever, she immediately is like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Something is off. And she's right. I mean, he's the guy behind this entire mystery.
Not only behind the railroad stuff, but behind the haunting of the house.
And the kidnapping of her father.
He's everybody.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. And the second he walks in, she's like, no.
And she takes, like, the threat to Carson seriously, but she's also like, but this guy is no good. Like, whether or not I'm going to believe that this threat is serious, I do believe that this guy's up to no good. Yeah. My other thing that I really liked is, like, she had, like, an hour to kill before she could meet with someone. So she, like, got a magazine of detective stories and was just reading in her car. And I was like, same girl. I love that for you.
I love it.
That's awesome.
I wanted to bring attention to, in the first chapter, when Helen comes to tell her that her family is terrified of this haunting in the house, Nancy is ecstatic. She is so excited. I mean, that just seems to be part of her personality. She loves the drama, if there's any sort of mystery to solve. But I do think that maybe she could work a little bit on her
tact.
Yes. Maybe take a little bit of a chill pill, work on some,
Well, yeah.
Work on her outward-facing response.
Keep that excitement on the inside and be like, I am so sorry that you are having such a scary experience with this ghost at your house.
No,
Helen.
She's just like, yes, we're going now. Let's go.
Haunted house. That's for me.
And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is that Nancy is religious.
Yeah,
so
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's more of a time period thing of making sure that, we're talking about how this is Sunday, and of course, Nancy was at church.
Before she did her sleuthing. And Hannah, the housekeeper, is not at church because she's going to a special service later, but she will be there.
But it like almost explains so that Hannah can have lunch ready. Hannah also went to church.
Right.
She's just she's still religious. She's going to church too.
But it's later, so that's why Hannah's not at church and then going to get run over by a truck and jump. Yeah, I didn't remember any of that. I'm curious
to see if that is a trend that we continue to see in the books.
Yeah. Sleuthing skills.
In Sleuthing Skills, we discuss what skills do you, our listener, need in order to follow in the footsteps of Nancy Drew. So
you're not going to learn these at detective school. You need to have these already down pat before you even start at the Detective Academy.
Watching some YouTube videos, going out into the world, learning from trial and error.
So there's a lot in this book to pick up on. So why don't you go ahead and start, because I have so many Post-it notes.
So we have another instance showing Nancy's affinity for tracking.
Yes.
She's looking for footprints and I think they find the footprints under the window after the gorilla face appears.
I noticed that she and Helen had to memorize, and I assume the villain did this as well. So this is you got to learn some of the bad stuff so that you can catch up with them. But there's a creaking staircase. This is not the hidden staircase in the title. This is a visible staircase. But it creaks very badly. And so to sneak around or to be out at night when the older women are asleep and we don't want to wake them up, you have to memorize like which stairs to skip and like which ones you need to step on the very right side very lightly so that nobody creaks. And so they memorize like a pattern up, and that is not so much of the games again, but I'm pretty sure there is I know there's at least a staircase that like sings and you have to make it sing a certain song. And then
oh my gosh, I love
it's
that.
Great. Yeah.
Another skill that you need is animal husbandry and avian care.
Husbandry is a strong word, but definitely avian care.
Nancy just, as we mentioned, with the owl pecking her arms, and she is very confident. She's like, let me get on my gloves.
Open the window.
Yep. I would not. I don't think I'm ready to follow in the footsteps of Nancy Drew just yet. I really need to improve my own personal avian care. Owls are my favorite animal, but I don't know if I'm confident enough to go grab one out of a room.
You've also got to be really good at having a photographic memory, a la Cam Jansen. Click, exactly. You see it, but she didn't say click, so she just remembers. So they're up in the attic getting their costumes for their costume party, and then like later that night, Nancy's like, I just remembered something looked weird in that attic, and I didn't notice it at the time, but I think there's a section of the paneling that's different from the rest. I bet there's a hidden passageway. We'll check it out tomorrow.
And there is a hidden passageway to the hidden staircase.
Spoilers. Exactly.
The last sleuthing skill that I found that you need to work on is interrogation skills. Nancy interrogates both the crinkled ear man and the taxi driver because the police interrogate him, and Nancy's like, can I please just have a few minutes in there?
And they're like, sure, of course.
And she's not, bullying or think of like good cop, bad cop.
Right.
She's very reasonable and really tunes into more of the emotional, like, this is why I need this information. This, I know you're not a bad person deep down kind of thing. And it really ends up with a sense of restorative justice.
Yeah.
So not just yelling and screaming until you get the information you need. It's
I found the section.
Very human.
It is. So when she talks to the crinkly ear man, so the taxi driver didn't really do anything wrong. He just didn't want to talk about it because he was worried his kids are going to get hurt. And she's like, I get that. We can have someone protect them, whatever. And then when she talks to the guy who actually did the kidnapping and the chloroforming and everything and some other stuff, she goes, we all make mistakes at times. We are often misled by people who urge us to do things we shouldn't. Maybe you're afraid you'll receive the death sentence for helping to kidnap my father. But if you didn't realize the seriousness of the whole thing, then maybe the complaint against you may turn out to be just conspiracy. Of kind of also telling him exactly what to say to get out of this. And
because she does have that law information and background. Yeah.
I loved it. I was like, and then the police were very impressed by how quickly she got answered.
Yeah, she's like, done. Yep, got all I needed.
Thank you. I said a few minutes. I'm done. You're welcome. They're like, oh, okay, great, thanks. It's good. It's good stuff. Accidentally gay. In this segment, we look at the inherent queerness of these books. Some of it, perhaps all of it, was not intended by the author, and just we phrase things differently now, 90 years later, than Mildred Ward Benson, Carolyn Keene would have. Just some parts of the book that we thought could be interpreted as queer and bring us joy, or at least brings me joy.
Brings me joy, too.
When they're looking in the chimney because they think that the ghost man person is hiding in the chimney because it's like, well, where did we not check in this room? And the answer is the hidden staircase because you don't know about it yet. But so Helen opens it up and immediately just gets totally drenched in soot. Drenched may not be the right word, but just completely covered in soot. And she's like, give me a towel, will you, Nancy? And then Nancy goes and gets a couple of towels and wraps them around her friend and then goes with Helen to help her with a shampoo and general shower of oh yeah, a very normal thing that I do heterosexually with all of my friends is just help them with their showers.
I felt very much like a little bit of a romance novel stereotype or trope where, oh no, there's only one bed in this bedroom that we have to share.
That's right. They have to share a room while they're at the house.
Do you kind of feel like there's probably plenty of bedrooms in this colonial house?
But maybe it's scary. Because later Helen clasps Nancy's hand in fright, and maybe it's just her emotional support girlfriend. Also, as mentioned in my ship, they dress up as Master and Mistress Colonial America. And I think I had mixed up who was who because it's been 4 weeks since we initially read the book. But you had noticed that Helen is like, oh, yeah, there are lots of dresses here, but I am electing to dress up in the men's clothes. I think those are going to work for me, although the shoes are, in fact, literally twice her foot size. So she's like, never mind. Oh, you found this one too, right? She announces gaily.
Yes.
Never mind. I'll stuff the empty space with paper. She announces gaily as they're about to go on their gay dance.
Yes.
It's very good. It's very cute. They have all these steps that they do, and the two older women are giggling and clapping of how lovely it is, and they wish President Washington would come to see them dance. Very good. Oh, yeah, and Master Corning, wilt thou accompany thy fair lady? Yes, Nancy is your fair lady. You're right. I love it.
This really is just a little, like, the beginning of a romance novel,
it really
I feel like.
is. No, we're just doing it for a costume party. Yeah, no feelings here. It was very cute.
Miscellaneous mysteries.
In this segment, we take a look at miscellaneous mysteries, things that didn't really fit in any other segment, but we want to make sure get touched upon. What are some miscellaneous mysteries that you discovered?
Okay, tell me more about this river that they had to go in with Nancy's sensible pumps. Do you remember anything about it? That's right, it was wet. No, that's not the mystery. You just looked some, so I'm just going to take that off your hands. It's called the Muskoka River. Muskoka. I do not actually know how to pronounce it. Anyway, so I looked it up because I thought, okay, they are usually saying Nancy lives in River Heights. This is somewhere in New England-ish.
It's a fictional town.
It's a fictional town, and they try not to like triangulate it. They don't even say this is near Boston or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just, and so I said, oh my God, did they slip up? Because it's the second book, right? And I looked up where the Muskoka River is. It's in Ontario, Canada.
What?
And I had a brief moment of, has Nancy been in Canada this whole time and I didn't
Nancy
notice?
Is Canadian?
No. So I'm looking at this. It rises in the highlands of Algonquin Park. It's 177 meters long, all these important stuff. And then on this Wikipedia page, there is a brief in fiction section, and it is one sentence that says, there is also a Muskoka River in Nancy Drew's fictional hometown of River Heights, located somewhere in the Midwestern United States. So not only is it not New England, it's the Midwest, but also just this river is real. And I'm thinking that the writer maybe heard this name, maybe even went there. And at the time, who's going to check an atlas?
Yeah.
And say, oh, Muskoka, where's that at? Let me look at the index real quick. They're like, okay, Muskoka River, whatever. And now I'm just Googling it. It takes me 3 seconds. I'm like, oh my God, that's a real place. Right. I just thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Right. Here's this real Canadian river, not affiliated with River Heights, Ohio or Michigan or wherever the heck River Heights actually is in the Midwest, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, because I figured it needed to be in the Midwest only because they're going to Chicago, like, for like a day trip.
On the reg. Yeah, they're like always at Chicago. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that just tickled me to no end. Yeah.
So I only have one miscellaneous mystery, but I feel like it was looming in the back for the entire novel. In the first chapter, while Helen is telling Nancy about this haunting and how she's like, I should be terrified, but I'm so happy. And Nancy's like, huh?
Why?
And she's like, I am engaged.
Oh, and then Nancy stops the car to tell her how, pulls over.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm so happy for you,
and
my
also,
friend.
let's discuss this.
Yes.
Because we are best friends.
Uh-huh. It's been 2 months since last we spake.
Yeah.
She didn't say that.
What? And that's exactly within the 2 months that they've seen each other. Helen has met a man named Jim Archer. It's a big secret that they're together
because it's only been 2 months, and maybe that's a short engagement.
Yes, it's been 2 months. He is described as simply out of this world.
Oh my. He is an alien. He is a Martian.
No, he works for an oil company and has spent 2 years abroad, and they met on one of his brief visits back to the United States, and he's going to be moving back soon for a position in the United States, and he proposed to her last night over the phone.
Incredible.
I'm just getting a lot of red flags, to be honest.
Yeah.
And this is what the mystery is for me. I was figuring this was going to feature more heavily into the story because this doesn't seem normal.
I thought this was foreshadowing, and he was just interested in the property of her family or something like that. No, he doesn't. Nope. He's not mentioned again, except later when Nancy's like, oh my gosh, we found this hidden passage. I bet if this person was in the passage, they could hear us talking about stuff. And that's when she starts writing notes about their plans to Helen, and which is kind of cool. And then they burn it because she thinks of everything. And anyway, she's like, oh my gosh, I'll go in the passage and you say something and I'll see if I can hear you. And maybe that's what the ghost has been doing. And so Helen uses time to be like, oh my gosh, Nancy, you be my bridesmaid. Which
adorable.
But that's it. And so I need to know if Jin's in the next book. If this
is this going to come back? This is my mystery that I need to be solved.
Because Nancy does mention this is a little unusual, but I'm happy if you're happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems really weird.
I'm concerned.
I'm concerned about Helen.
But
I'm glad she told Nancy so that if, if something's going on.
And she got her father's permission.
Oh, yeah.
And her father said she couldn't announce it until he was back in the States because maybe he's like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to actually happen. So why don't we wait until he's back here?
Yeah, and then announce it.
And then we can take it from there. So she does have people looking out for her.
Other miscellaneous mysteries. So they're talking about Miss Flora. And probably 8 times, if not more in the book, they constantly are saying she's so sweet and a little forgetful and we're worried about her. And there's not one example of her forgetting anything. This is a fairy tale don't show. This feels almost like if we say it enough times, then it's, believable when we put her in a home. I don't know. It felt weird. They don't disrespect her. They take care of her. They give her, a nice bowl of plain gelatin when she's upset. But it's the grossest thing. I can't imagine that. But yeah, I don't know. That felt weird that they mentioned it so many times, but it's not like we think the silver in the house has gone missing because she's forgetful. No, there's a thief. And then, I don't know. It just felt weird.
Gumshoe Game Show!
In this segment, Colleen asks me, Megan, 5 questions related to a completely insignificant detail from the text that we just read.
I tried to make the game show based on something in the book, and when they're describing this mansion, they're like, this mansion has a canopied mahogany bed, and the dresser is mahogany, and the dressing table is mahogany. The chairs also were mahogany. So, I'd like to introduce to you Mahogany in Literature, the game show.
Oh, no.
Yes, literature is used very loosely here.
Okay. Media? Or is it written word?
It is media. I've decided, you know what? Mahogany in media is more alliterative, but I'm sticking to it, and I've decided it's mahogany in literature.
Okay.
Number 1.
Is this multiple choice?
This is multiple choice,
thank goodness.
And there are 5 questions.
5 questions, multiple choice. Got it.
Mahogany in literature. Number 1. In Dragon Ball Z, the abridged series, noted literary piece, from where is King Yama's reality warping mahogany desk? A, the planet Malkier 7, where the trees are 300 feet tall and breathe fire. B, the planet Earth, also referred to as Dragon World. C, the planet Heaven, which is covered with flowers and plants and glows strangely. Or the planet mayonnaise, appears to be the singular of mayonnaise. It is, it's spelled like that. Also known for its space pirate battle with some of the characters.
I'm going to go with A, just because of the giant trees.
You are correct.
Yes.
Very, very good. I cannot get past mayonnaise. It's spelled MAYONNAI. That's the planet. It's one mayonnaise.
One mayonnaise.
Number 2. Stuart Woods, author of more than 90 crime novels and therefore enemy of many shelvers in public libraries, him and James Patterson, wrote one of his many, many books about lawyer, investigator, playboy Stone Barrington, centering around a mahogany secretary, which is the type of desk, apparently.
Yes, yes.
That is worth $24 million.
Holy cow.
What is the title of this book? A, Mahogany After Dark. B, Secretary's Day. C, The Mahogany Murders. Or D, Hot
No, you can't even get that one out.
D, Hot Mahogany. Not to be confused as you're hosted with Hot Monogamy, a different thing.
Oh gosh, all of those are terrible.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
I'm going to go with C.
No, it is in fact Hot Mahogany.
Oh, I thought that was the funny one.
You're wrong. Secretary's Day was meant to be the
gosh.
very wrong one. But I was like, oh yeah, Mahogany Secretary. What does that mean? It's a type of desk, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, number 3. When did the word mahogany first appear in print?
Ooh, I love this question. I don't know the answer, but I'm excited.
All right, we've got A, 1776 CE in the Declaration of Independence. B, 1671 CE in John Ogilvy's America, which is his English work on the New World. We've got C, 1648 CE in the Treaty of Westphalia, which of course deals with the Roman Empire. And D, 350 BCE in Theophrastus's Enquiry into Plants.
Oh. I'm going to go with C, 1648.
No, it is actually 1671. You were very close. You were as close as you could be. In the work on the New World. It's in a piece just called America. All the stuff you knew about America. Number 4, the New Yorker's July 2nd, 2007 issue. I'm sure you're familiar.
Of course.
You were probably in what, like 9th grade? Featured a fictional tale called The Mahogany Elephant. What is it about? A cursed figurine with similar properties to the monkey's paw, except it's the trunk that moves. B, an archaeologist who discovers a heretofore unknown ancient species of elephant ancestor whose bones are almost like wood. C, a couple who doesn't love each other anymore, which spends far too much time focusing on the male narrator's thoughts on how often and for how long his female partner uses the bathroom. D, the diary of an elephant that has moved beyond merely painting with its trunk and progressed to wood carvings out of, say, mahogany.
I'm going to go with A.
It was actually C.
Oh my gosh, no!
You could tell the marriage, I read the whole thing. You could tell the marriage was falling apart because she wouldn't let him into the bathroom when she was peeing anymore. And I'm like, I know that some couples do that. I have never felt that showed that I was in love with the person. In fact, I wanted them to love and respect me by staying out of the bathroom while I was in the bathroom.
What does that have to do with a mahogany elephant?
She brought it back from her travels and he had thrown it away. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't just know.
I didn't know where that's why I eliminated it. It had nothing to do with elephants.
I'm so sorry. I did not really mean to trick you, but it was a bananas story.
Wow.
Yes.
So I'm doing quite poorly.
I believe you have only gotten 1 right.
I have.
So
I have gotten 1 right and 3 wrong.
Can you predict? You will get all the points if you can predict the general topic of my final mahogany in literature.
Hunger Games.
You got it. Yes.
Yes.
Here is the question. The 2012 meme popularized on Tumblr, that is mahogany, thank you, stemmed from Effie Trinket yelling this in the Hunger Games movie. Why does she yell this? Would you like to hear my choices?
Sure, but I do know.
Do you know it already?
Yes.
Please tell me.
So doesn't Hamish stab the desk or the something with
You are very
knife?
close, but not correct.
Oh.
You were very close, but not correct. A, PETA incorrectly calls the trading room floor, quote, oak or something. B,
No.
Hamish drunkenly vomits on a mahogany desk in front of her. C, Katniss sticks a knife in a wooden table out of frustration at having to deal with Hamish. Or D, Mahogany is the name of one of the Hunger Games contestants, and she was just introducing her.
No.
Yeah. Which is, I think that's a solid guess, because some of them are named like Fish or whatever.
Yeah.
Not really, but like they're all named.
Foxface.
Foxface. Well, that's not her
real
name, but there's like Rue, who's a plant, and there's Clove, I think.
That sounds maybe right.
I should know this.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
But there's a lot of them that are named after nature because of like that's the district.
So do I still get?
Oh, you get all the points because you guessed what it was going to be about.
Oh,
so
okay, cool.
Win.
So I already
What
automatically win.
What do you win? In the last game, you won a clock. God, I want to give you because Nancy had also won. She got to keep the clock.
So what does she get to keep? And what do I, in turn, receive?
Because I don't want to give you the whole staircase. I feel like it's not going to fit your
too
car.
much, and it is hilarious to think, but
it is.
We need some practicality.
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe the gorilla mask.
Oh, that is good. I do like the gorilla mask. I was thinking maybe
the
like
tricorn hat.
Right, something from the costume.
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
I feel like the gorilla mask is a little bit more tied to the mystery.
It is. But at the same time, I feel the tricorn hat is more of the fun part of the times, and it's like it would be more useful in your classroom.
It represents the location as well.
It does.
It is a colonial
so
era.
You win the tricorn hat, and
yes.
so does Nancy. I'm going to write that down for our Drewseum, where all the stuff I assume that she keeps from her.
Yes, so she keeps the tricorn hat, which also because Helen was wearing it, so it's
kind of like a cute little memento of their dance and date night.
So excited for my tricorn hat.
Well, good work on the Gumshoe Game Show. I really like giving you a way to earn it all back.
Yes, I appreciate that too. Otherwise, I'd just give up.
No, that's fair. You are doing great. You are a game show winner, 2 for 2.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us on Me and You and Nancy Drew. This podcast is lovingly dedicated to the memory of my wonderful mother, Shar, world's best mom, and the woman who got me hooked on sassy female detective stories. I also want to thank my brother, Ben, for creating most of our sound and music cues for this podcast. Thanks, Ben. You can check out our website, meandyouandnancydrew.com, for show transcripts, links to our social media, and our Patreon, where we'll post any images that we described during the podcast. Those will be visible to anyone without a paywall, so that we're not describing nebulous images that you can't see at home. But if you'd like to become a patron, there are various perks there, including outtakes or things that got cut for time, stickers, and cross-stitch patterns to create your own Drewseum at home, and more.
Thank you, Megan, for editing the podcast, doing a lot of research about podcast creation, and adding a few additional sound cues as needed.
Thank you, Colleen, for also editing the podcast, for transcribing it, and for helping create our logo.
Thank you to our partners for all the support and love, and especially for lending us their microphones that they bought for a completely different purpose, but said we could borrow once in a while.
Thank you to libraries everywhere for giving access to Nancy Drew books, and all the other books that we mentioned today, and just media of all kinds to people everywhere for free.
And finally, thank you, of course, to Carolyn Keene for independently writing each of the Nancy Drew books from 1930 to modern day. We couldn't do this without you and your 613 individual novels.
And don't forget the moral of this episode.
We're often misled by people who urge us to do things we shouldn't.